Welcome, guys, to another episode of the Terrain Studio. I'm your host, Sean Morris. Today on the Terrain Studio Update, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the project behind me, talk a little bit about the characterization that I've given the Hobbit holes, a little bit about what's left to come, and then obviously give you some really great splash shots that's going to show those details that don't quite get captured in the video. Let's get looking at the table. All right, guys, so right off the hop, one of the things you're going to notice is that there is a heck of a lot of color splash here now on the table. I've gone through in the last day or so here and really started to add a lot of the coloration to really make the table pop, come to life, and give some of these characters and these hobbit holes a little bit of uniqueness. So what I've done basically everywhere on the table, and I will give you a splash shot of each of these, but I will come in kind of with a slow moving panoramic view here. What I've done for these hobbit holes is I've really gone in and tried to find some complementary colors. So in addition to some of the flower boxes that may be a little bit one-off from the rest of the flowers and some of the shrubbery, what I've really done is I've come in and given each of them a complement of 3 colors. So here, for example, we've used this lilac purple and the violet colors. Here we've sort of stuck with the red and pinkish tones. Up here at the top, this standoff one, we've gone a little bit with the yellow and white with the complementary red bushes that were already added. Over here, we've brought in a little bit more of the pink, added some of the red tones through the middle. We've gone ahead and added in 2. These ones were the same. So again, with the fuchsia, lilac in the flower pots, pink and some whites, bringing that up into the more vibrant pink tones, as well as purple, white, and then down here through this with the lilac. Again, we've done a little bit of smattering, but we've kept it a little bit plain because there's not a lot of flowers specifically located in that particular region. Another thing that we've used, so those are the Gamer's Grass flower tufts, by the way. If you guys are familiar with those, I'll put just a drop of the Gamer's Grass. The colors themselves are pretty interesting, but will be so unique to your own project. I won't link all the colors that I've used. I have gone ahead and used some Green Stuff World bushes as well. There in this area particularly, I've used the sort of the lilac sort of pinkish tones, I guess more pink than lilac really, down through this area here. I've used some yellows, and the yellows I actually brought up through the middle. So right up through this section, and then I've also used some red tones, and the red tones I've actually brought right down through here and finished off with this complementary pink, red, and sort of light, I guess a little bit of a lighter rose color through here. So when I was doing that, I started off with the bushes, and again, I wanted to kind of stick with the main areas, so a swath of color through here, down through here, and then right through here. I didn't want to mix and mash it all over because I knew what I was going to also be doing with the flowers. And the reason that I wanted to do kind of that tri-tone flower and keep it sort of symmetrical within, or isolated rather, I guess would be a better term, isolated to the specific holes. There is some symmetry to it as well, actually. But I wanted to make sure that I gave each home its own sort of unique style and look. And then obviously down here where I had 2, they're a little wider apart, and so I wanted to have this as a bit of a focal feature. I didn't want to go the exact same colors here, so I chose to do sort of 2 standoffish ones in the form of yellow and the reds. I really do like how it comes out because it does give each of the holes its own characteristics. In addition, something else that you might see as we sort of pan through is I've brought in all the laser cut plants here. So the hostas, the flowering ferns, etc., all through each of these holes, and you're going to see at every hobbit hole you can see those 3D plants now, 3D laser printed plants. Now I didn't use every single style that I initially purchased. I just found that some of them were a little out of scale for what I wanted to do, so I didn't use them everywhere, but I did also use them in some complementary positions throughout here. So I had sort of a ration set out, and I used them throughout just to give each of the holes a bit of a unique look. In some cases, I clustered them a little closer together. Other cases, a little bit more widespread. Moving around this way, I brought them in and around this window here, and you can kind of see them out throughout the area. A little bit of focus in here on the well, and then down through the fencing area. So really adding those splashes of color, which I think complements the table and makes it look even better. I also went in and finished off the Tiny Tufts. Took about 4 hours to go and do the second layer of Tiny Tufts. These ones are much more muted to the green, but you'll see they complement a lot of the lighter colors that was already added. And in a way, they actually add a little bit of a shadow effect to that, to sort of bulk out those areas right here, and then create a transitional gradient as well. So that again is an effect that's sort of lost in the masses, but really does complement the table nicely, and I wouldn't want to not have that particular feature. So what's left to be worked on? Obviously, I need to finish the water features. Those will go at the end because we don't want to have any disruption to the resin or anything like that. There's a little bit of painting out here to create a sort of a depth gradient that's still needed. So that's one thing. The edges need to be black out, a cosmetic feature only. We obviously do have to finish the trees. There's 10 to go. So there's 2 here, 1 here, 2 here, 2 there, 1 more there, and then 3 in the middle. That's really gonna bulk out this corner. This corner will almost be unrecognizable once all those trees get in. And in fact, this whole area up here will also be a real standoff feature as well. Another thing that I do need to do is I gotta come in and do a little bit of work here on bag end. I'm going to extend up this a little bit, not so much, but there's no real bushes left to add or anything like that, but I will do a little bit more clump foliage. I don't have any laser plants or anything like that, so it's very much going to just resemble a little teeny bit of buildup around the tree. But in all retrospect, we're going to be leaving this primarily as a grassy knoll, which it does feature like that in the images that I have. So again, it's just going to be a little bit of a standoff feature. It'll be very similar to what we've done down here in the woods. So just a little bit of foliage to go in there. Likewise, just moving around the lights, I will have a little bit probably on this back edge here, and then a little bit up here. So that's going to be primarily just done through complementary colors. In addition, though, some of these sort of standoff features that are separate from the rest of the table and kind of the wooded area, that's what I have a lot of these grass tufts here for. So in looking at these, I'm probably not going to use too many of the dark tones, but in the woods, some of the things I do want to use are a little bit of these spiky tufts here. I do want to use certainly some of these more bushier elements. They'll be great for scrub grass, sorry. And I probably will use a little bit of these earthy tone grass tufts here, again, just to create a little bit of the wooded feature. But a lot of the dark ones I'm probably actually going to end up leaving out now that I have a sort of a look at the palette. Now, a lot of these were ordered in advance, just not fully understanding what exactly I was going to have it look like or wanted it to look like. It doesn't mean that I won't use these. These are certainly nice too, and they complement with both this and this nicely. And in fact, they'll go with the clump foliage as well. So some of that might be used. Just probably not going to be using the dark elements. I think if you were to drop this dark element on there, I think it would just be a little too stark and a little bit too harsh. So probably won't do that. Likewise with some of these more browns, I just don't think that they're going to necessarily be needed. So but again, they're not that they won't be needed for future projects, just probably not this one, given the final look of the color palette that we have on the table. So that's still to come. Here's the 3D plants that I didn't end up using. These were just larger fern ones and a little stuff that was a little bit out of scale. So I just chose to elect to save those for projects in the future. And then I did leave a few of the tiny tufts because I think they will be used in and around the grassy knoll bits as well. So just a little bit left to sort of complement up here. Again, not bringing any color up here because I'm trying not to draw any color away from any ungroomed areas with the exception of kind of through here. But again, this is sort of a manicured area, a little lookout point as well. So some of those sort of shrub grass pieces will come down into here. I will also feature it around the well. So any of the sort of focal points, but no longer focused specifically on a hobbit hole, will get a little bit of that. So a little bit through here, and as I mentioned, a little bit up there on that hill around the well,